My name is Monica Gleberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast. On today's podcast, we're at the premiere of Disenchanted, which is a musical adventure. Years after her happily ever after, Giselle, Robert, and Morgan move to a new community. And eventually, the real world is thrown off balance once again, causing a lot of shenanigans and musical numbers. So to talk to us first about the film, here's Amy Adams, Maya Rudolph, and Gabriella Baldacchino. What was it like working on this film?
Making of the film was indeed a fabulous experience all around, yes. I got invited to a party that was already great, so being invited to the party was the exciting part, especially when you get to see characters that you're already in love with, and then you get to play with them. That was the joy. But then on top of it, discovering the costumes and the brilliant wigs and like everything that made us into the characters, and seeing and being on these incredible sets or walking through Monrolasia and feeling like, wow, I really am in a fairy tale was so fun.
The making of Disenchanted was an absolute, I hate to say dream come true, but because it sounds so cliche, but it really was. We were really fortunate to be in a beautiful place, Ireland, with such welcoming people. We had an amazing story to tell, and we had such skilled and inspired craftspeople working with us. I could just go on about the costumes, about the sets, like Maya said, our cast, the music. There was just so much to get invested in, and to do it in a place that really felt so magical was a real treat.
I'm going to have to agree with Amy that the making of this film was a dream come true, as cliche as it is. It definitely changed my life. To be able to step into this world that was already so established, the enchanted universe almost, was just so fun. Like, we really got to play. Like, every day just brought a new challenge, a new game almost, a new something to make larger than life. And I think just getting to work with this group of people that was so passionate and so invested and so excited, the cast, the crew, the entire team, was just excited to be there. And I think that changes the entire experience when everyone is just so invested and so almost in love with the project.
Yeah.
It was magical.
Yeah.
Amy, what was it like for you to produce this film?
Producing this film was a very unique experience for me, because I've produced other things, but never something that I was involved with 10 years previous, or as it was 11 or something. So I had such a deep understanding of the characters and sort of where I saw their journey. So it was wonderful to get to contribute to where Giselle might be and what she might be feeling and what is her evolution. So that was something that I was grateful to be sort of on the at the starting line with, because I really got to help build Giselle and this world that we create in Disenchanted. Then also got to be a part of bringing wonderful talent together, Maya and Gabby, and Jema and Yvette, just really getting to be a part of putting a fabulous team together. That was a real gift and a real privilege for me.
What is the most interesting part of playing a fairy tale character and a real world character?
I think the funniest part about playing a character that is in the fairy tale world and is also in the real world, I think, is almost the opposite of their demeanors. My character Morgan, we see how funny and sarcastic and kind of teenager, she's got the eye roll, she's got the sarcasm. And then all of a sudden she comes flying down the stairs one day and she is this twittering, chirpy mini Giselle.
She's the ingenue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think Morgan never necessarily saw herself as that role in the story. And I think it's so interesting to step into completely different shoes while also having the essence of who you are inside. And I think it kind of gets to tell the story that not all ingenue princesses are necessarily the same. It's not always the same chasing after the prince.
Exactly.
Or princesses
I love
can
that
save
about
the day.
Morgan. Yeah. Absolutely.
Maya, what was it like for you to play Malvinia?
Well, I knew that the fairy tale version of Malvina could only go even further in its arch sort of insanity of being awful, like pushing it to the limit. And that was really fun. And also really fun knowing that there was a place to go even further, was the excitement when we were playing the real world version. But for me, Malvina's real world version is so far from a real human being anyway, that it was exciting to know that you could lay the groundwork in the real world, knowing that it was going to get far more exaggerated. And that was the fun too of learning when we would find out what we were going to be wearing and what we would look like. You know, you start here to end here, and all of that was such a fun game to be a part of, you know.
Amy, what was it like playing Giselle after all of these years?
Well, playing Giselle has always been sort of a tightrope walk, because we're playing someone who has to be really believable and earnest. And getting to play her with this sort of duplicity is really wonderful, because again, we're playing on an archetype, but we're able to, you know, we have such great resources in all of the previous Disney films that have been laid out before us, how it's almost like a map of archetypes, and you can choose different qualities and characteristics from all of them. So Giselle's sort of an amalgamation of a lot of different princesses, and as she turns, she becomes this mix of different villains. So it's wonderful to be able to dive into that lexicon of Disney classics and sort of find inspiration. And that's something I've always really enjoyed, is kind of sort of taking little pieces from different characters through history and getting. That's what's so fun about Enchanted, is it sort of has its own rule set, and it's really fun because it's almost like no rules, and it's so freeing. Yeah,
It's like a toolbox.
it is. Yeah.
Up next, here's Idina Menzel. What has Nancy been up to since the last film?
Oh, Nancy's been living the life. She's the queen of Andalasia. She's been living in the fairy tale world with her gorgeous husband, King Edward. They sing all day long. They frolic. They have friends, little creatures in the woodlands. The little mice make her dresses. At worst, you know, Edward's fighting off an ogre, and then they come to dinner and they talk about their day, and just life is just wonderful up in Andalasia.
What was it like returning to play Nancy after all of this time?
I didn't just slip back into character because Nancy's so different in this movie. You know, returning was just a pleasure. It was so much fun to revisit the character, to reunite with the cast after so much time. We all had we had so much fun together. And what was fun about revisiting Nancy was just that in the first movie, she was sort of the cynical New York girl. And now I had to figure out how much of that cynicism and that kind of tough, broad New York City girl was still in her when she's been living in this fairy tale world for so long, and sort of finding that balance and seeing how her clothes and her corsets inform the way that she acts. And has her speech changed? Does she still have a little New York accent, or does she clean it up for her, Andalasian friends?
You had a beautiful song in this film. How did you feel about the music making process and the music in the film?
Oh, it's when Stephen Schwartz and Alan Menken write you a song, it's just incredible. And Stephen Schwartz has been like my wizard behind the curtain for many years, having written the music to Wicked as well. And so it's such it's an honor when they write you music. It's a relief because they know my voice so well, and they write for me and for my strengths. It was also really cool because we were in the middle of the pandemic, we were shut down, and they started to get creative with how you could record in your own home. And they sent this sort of James Bond suitcase that you opened up and had all these electronics and a microphone and a way to record. And I went into my walk-in closet, which was good because the sound is padded in there and good for recording. And I hung the lyrics to Love Power on a pants hanger, with the clips. And I read the lyrics, and I had the mic, and I sang my vocal, which is still there today.
Up next is Patrick Dempsey. What was it like returning to play Robert?
What was it like returning to Robert? It was, once I started, just being in Amy's presence. I mean, a lot of stuff took place virtually because of COVID and the lack of, at that time, the vaccinations were just starting to roll out. We shot all of the movie basically in Ireland. So we were doing things remotely. So when we finally got together, it just fell into place quite naturally. And it was really fun. We were like, wow, I can't believe we're here, again, 15 years later. And it didn't feel like 15 years, to be honest with you. In many ways, it felt much longer, and it just felt like the other day. That was interesting.
Can you give us an update as to what Robert's been up to since we've last seen him?
Robert's been pretty much doing the same thing, which is, he's a divorce lawyer, so he's been dealing with that. And he's looking for a little bit more meaning in his life and a little bit more of a challenge. And that's sort of at the beginning of the movie, this is what he's been questioning. And of course, Giselle is feeling that and asking him, is he happy? And that opens up a whole door to where the journey goes. The fairy tale character was so much fun to play and get away from the real world, Robert, and to kind of break into, James's world, which was really fun. And I found it really liberating and exciting. And, you just have to commit to something like that and see what happens. And I trusted Adam. So I was like, we'll try anything he wants to do. It was the best part because I had never done anything like that. So working with the voice coach on learning the song and hitting the right notes and the vocal warm-ups and that process. And of course, I was locked down for 14 days in Northern Ireland. And that was a great opportunity to train. So there wasn't a lot to look forward to other than walks in the nature, which were absolutely beautiful up there along the countryside. And then working on the song was great fun.
Hope you guys enjoyed listening to the cast of Disenchanted talk about their musical adventure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you're updated on all of our latest podcasts. And head over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe so you're updated on all of our video content.